the WWE Hall of Fame Class of 2014. And what a class this is. I mean, you have the Ultimate Warrior, Jake the Snakes Roberts, Lita, Paul Bear, Carlos Colon, Mr. T, and Razor Ramon Scott Hall. I mean, this class is better every year, but I have two people that could have made it better. Randy Savage and Owen Hart. We all know why they're not getting inducted. We all know the story. We all know the background. That's another story from another time. But I believe one of them at least is getting inducted next year. Because if you can put Ultimate Warrior in the Hall of Fame, it deserves it. I mean, think about it. Ultimate Warrior, a man who had the substructure of Ultimate Warrior DVD, which was actually wasn't that bad. It was actually a good laugh. I mean, they buried the fuck out of him, but they also praised him somewhat in that. But now with this relationship with WWE, which I thought would never happen. I mean, WWE gave Ultimate Warrior to be in the 2K14 game as part of the 30 years of WrestleMania, which they honestly needed him because of the Hogan Warrior match back then, which is still amazing watching it to this day. But I mean, think about it. The Ultimate Warrior, a former Intercontinental Champion, two-time Intercontinental Champion, as a matter of fact, a former World Champion. But the main reason he's getting this Hall of Fame, and I believe it's not because of the Ultimate Warrior DVD which is coming out. It's not the same as Plug because it's actually pretty damn good. But you created two disabilities. I mean, think of the Warrior in general. He's talking about rocket fuel, fucking shit. I'm probably one of the only people that can understand what the fuck he's saying in a promo, and that says a lot about me, possibly. But think about it. He's talking about rocket fuel, space alliance, parts unknown. He clearly created ADD and ADHD, which are two disabilities that have probably 95% of the population in some way or form. You don't even know you have it. You probably have a little bit of it. If you create two disabilities for this world, you not only deserve to be in this Hall of Fame, you should have a fucking Nobel Peace Prize or something. I mean, this motherfucker created AD motherfucking HD. I mean, what else can I say about the Warrior? I can't. So, let's go move on instead to a man who's reborn. A man who is going over there. A man who back in the day, you only had two people that talked like this, very softly, getting their point across about a goddamn chair in the world. And those two men were Arn Anderson and Jake the Snake Roberts. And if you think you're wrong, look them up and watch the free promos and you'll understand why. The men had charisma. The men had amazing charisma, especially Jake. I mean, a man who actually feuded with Hulk Hogan, and Hogan was the first guy to use his creative control and say, fuck that, I'm not doing it. But in reality, nowadays, Hogan actually regrets it. Because, sir, they were chanting DDT. They were chanting DDT, and Jake's supposed to be the bad guy in this feud. Not the bad guy, but you know what I mean, the fucking heel. So it's amazing to me how fucking Jake the Snake was probably one of the few that didn't need the world title, or any title that mattered, to get over. I mean, he had Damien, he had Lucifer, he had Revelations, which you all know what happened there with the Austin 316, but that's another story for another time. But think about it. The man has changed his life around. He used to be a druggie 10 years ago. For those who remember Beyond the Mat, he was probably the druggie in the corner or something, and that was pretty sad. That's probably the saddest thing they would do with Jake the Snake, in a bad light. But think about it. There's only one man to thank. Oh, DDP. This DDP yoga, it's changed his life for the better. I mean, Jake was on the old school Raw a few months ago, and he looked amazing. I haven't seen Jake since the fucking Heroes of Wrestling card. I mean, how bad that was. But Jake the Snake Roberts was amazing, and he looked great. And think about it. The WWE Performance Center, NXT, would love Jake the Snake to have a trainer, because based on promos alone, he could cut and teach these kids what to do. That would be amazing. You have people like Sarah Del Rey over there, training our women. Imagine what would happen if you had Jake the Snake teaching them fucking promos, or just wrestling in general, psychology. The man is a master in wrestling psychology. What can I say about Jake the Snake Roberts? I just can't. This Hall of Fame is honestly probably one of the best in a few years. I mean, they're all overdue. Long overdue. But you know what? This is what I love. They're only like the few people, and those people actually deserve it. Let's look at our next inductee, Lita. When I talk about the women's division in general in WWE, I think of one match that defined it back in the day, and that was Lita versus Trish Stratus for the women's title in the main event of Monday Night Raw. I mean, nowadays it's lucky that divas even get close to the main event on the card. But back then, those were two amazing women. Those were two amazing people in one fucking match, let alone a feud in general, which saw Trish have a broken nose. But even with a broken nose, she fucking pulled it off. Think about it. She defined a generation of diva. I mean, AJ Lee was her fucking idol, and now she's fucking CM Punk and married to him soon. That couldn't happen without the Lita and Ed sex celebration and marriages. I mean, they defined an entire era of WWE. They brought back the wedding into WWE, which we all knew would end well in the storyline, which always ends well in WWE. But they brought back the fucking wedding, which hadn't been seen in forever, since maybe the 80s or 70s. Or not counting the black wedding in the Attitude Era, because that really didn't count. But think about it. Lita defined a generation of diva. AJ Lee was her. AJ Lee had Lita as her idol, and now she's fucking her idol sloppy seconds. Think about that for a minute. Lita defined AJ Lee, and that's good enough for me to put her in the Hall of Fame. Plus, I mean, with the Trish Stratus inducting her, I would rather see a live sex celebration with them two instead of a speech, personally. That's a personal opinion. Probably a lot of people agree with that, which is actually pretty good. And now we go to the man, the myth, the legend, the late, great Paul Bearer. I mean, I remember talking a long time ago about a time Paul Bearer was in my life. For every time, I mean, I remember my grandfather passing away, and I asked him, as a mortician, is it harder to see a dead body in a casket or an urn? I don't remember exactly what he said, but it's like either way is really bad. I mean, I saw your condolences. I mean, for Paul Bearer to give me condolences for a loss in my life means a lot to me. But think about it. This guy deserves the Hall of Fame. Deserved it last year during this whole CM Punk Undertaker bullshit, where they literally had the urns, ashes on Undertaker, which is disrespectful. And I'm actually wondering why the Moody family is having this induction on their behalf and accepting it. The only shining line of this is Kane the Undertaker will probably induct Paul Bearer. I mean, and Undertaker is rarely even at the Hall of Fame, or at least not seen in the crowd. So it's a big moment for that in general. It's about time it actually happens. I mean, I could talk all day about Paul Bearer. I mean, you know, Percy Pringle III back in World Class, the Paul Bearer we loved and known. The man deserves it, bar none. And there's another guy that deserves it, but we'll actually have to split this up because there's a big issue I want to talk about here. It involves a certain library from World Wrestling Council.